We just did what we were ordered. This happened 30 years ago when I was in the Air Force. A little background. I was stationed at one of the worst air bases in the Air Force. I hated so much that I volunteered to go to Greenland. My morale was bad, but on the plus side was that I wasn't alone. Several of my coworkers felt the same. The one thing that made the base hell was my unit's captain and his band of flying monkeys. He was prior enlisted and had an ego so large he had difficulty walking through doorways. What was even worse was he had a line for Major. The one thing the Air Force did to check on enlisted troops' well-being was to send out what we called MWR surveys. They were supposed to be voluntary, so no one in my unit did them. Well, one day the captain shows up and starts yelling at us for making the unit and himself look bad for not completing the survey. He ordered us to complete and send in the survey. Well, I guess the surveys were so bad that the Air Force HQ sent a team to inspect us. I was interviewed along with most of the enlisted personnel. In the end, the captain was forced to retire as a captain. One of the monkeys asked me why the captain was forced out, and I said, I don't know. I was only following orders. Nicely played. I have had jobs where they do surveys like that and you just know they really don't want to hear the truth. So you just end up going down the middle on all answers. Wish I had the brass to put the truth down once or twice. As that guy said in that film, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Quote. Those surveys can be just as brutal in the retail environment as well. Never have people answer questions that you don't want to know the answers to. Every time I answered truthfully, they would always bring it up during the debrief if enough people mentioned it, and would almost always find a reason to disregard it or remove the comment on its way up. My company does this too. And every time there's a question that's universally answered in the negative, it disappears from next year's survey. Then they trot out these glowing reviews at shareholder meetings like everything's fine. I was in the Army. The officers that were prior enlisted seemed to be the worst. Their heads were too big for their bodies. Mine it, right? I work for a state agency that does surveys. A couple years ago they took the comments and put them all on an Excel sheet anyone could read. Good and bad. I was surprised. I guess the leadership team didn't like everyone being able to see the negatives, so instead they just posted some of the positive ones in the newsletter. That last couple were just multiple choice without a comments section at all. So there's our malicious compliance and our military stories that I believe will enjoy this as well. Torajan or mine it. Weird. All the prior service officers of no have been the best. I guess there's always the exception. That proves the rule. I don't know if it's the same in the Air Force, but enlisted to officer in the Navy are called Mustangs. Not all of them are bad, but you always knew which were which. The beatings will continue till morale improves. A little background. I was stationed at one of the worst air bases in the Air Force. I hated so much that I volunteered to go to Greenland. Mine it? Post this over on our malicious compliance too. Sure, they'll love it. Which base was that? Usually the worst base is the one you're at, and the best is the one you just left. We had a similar survey on our boss many moons ago. If you chose anything but something like proficient, you were expected to provide reasons why you felt that way. It was anonymous. I gave proficient all the way down until the end, where I said I wanted to put something but. However, I value my job enough not to get into the white van with free candy on the side. I have been very lucky at my current company. They take our surveys very seriously because they actually care about the employees. Managers review the results with their entire group, discuss what improvements need to be made, then create action items to resolve them, and actually follow through. Been a long time, but I recall a story from one branch of the military or another where there was only one correct way to answer the survey regarding the food. And the answers to that survey could be used to pretty quickly identify people who also served there. USNA maybe? I seem to recall it being 4 answers. But again, old man here, might have been 3 or 5. There are only 2 good bases in the military. The one you left, and the one you're going to. Sounds like Barksdale or Minot to me, lol.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.